Hello guys, welcome to the tutorial for Necropolis. So to get started, first of all, Necropolis is all about controlling the opponent creature using that Darkness spell school, or using the creature you have in your home graveyard and building from there. So I'm going to walk you guys through the basic strategies, the cards we start with, what you should aim for, and the new meta, and now you should focus on building decks. So let's get started already. So the first thing you have to notice is that you start with Syria. Syria has 2 fortune. She has darkness and water spell. And yeah, it's going to be really important. So to get started, you have all these events. I don't really like Celebration personally, for the only reason that Celebration is awesome with control decks, but not as great with creature decks, as you give cards to both players and they use some kind of Tower of Oblivion, which is... Anyhow, let's not get into the details, but this event is as good as it's bad, and what you want to aim for when you build your deck is that you want to have one-sided events, not have events that help out both sides. This is why I'm not a fan of these two here, because it helps you recycle, helps you get another possibility. Same thing with Dancing Flame, as it gives you +1 damage and +1 retaliation. Not only what you want to do when you're Necropolis is that you want to clear the board, get the control, and then move towards killing your opponent. So not a fan of this, because it's mostly for aggressive decks, I would say. Even though it costs a lot, it is still for most of the advanced decks out there. So one of the basic things you want to go for when you actually play Necropolis is that you want to focus either on, let's say, Destiny or Magic. So the reason why? The reason is because what you want to do when you build a deck is you want to go for a maximum, let's say, of 4 might or 5 might, and then 4 magic. And then you want to stop leveling it up. Why? Because the more you level up, the less cards you're going to draw. And the less cards you draw, the less strong your snowball is. And in this game, it is all about snowballing. So you want to get to the maximum level up for all the requirements of your cards as soon as possible, and then level up, and then draw cards each turn. Most of the rush decks out there, that's what they do. That's why they're that strong, really. It's because you get the tempo, they keep on going and going, because you can actually draw 2 cards a turn really fast. So yeah, that is the main purpose. So normally what you want to go for when you do a deck is either go for Might and Magic, or Might and Destiny. Get a few creatures and then, you know, control the battlefield on either side there. So Destiny is more of a specific like kind of action cards for your own faction, and spells is based on the spell schools you have, which is Syria, which is water and darkness. So when you specify, which is quite cool, is that you can use those one-sided events like this one. If you don't go for Destiny, you can use Week of Taxes, which means that every time a fortune is played, you must pay 1 more. If not, you're going to take 1 damage, which is quite a downside by itself. So definitely want to try to focus and get those events as soon as possible. And depending on what kind of deck you want to go for, the events really vary there. But I would recommend this. I think Market of Shadow is quite good, and the 1 damage can help you out as you play mid kind of aggressive deck with Syria. So that, I believe, is the best way to play her. This could be fun here at the moment, and this as well. So yeah, you don't want to give 2 advantage to your opponent. So let's say you play Necropolis. If you give out, if you play that event right there, the like really aggressive decks, they're gonna use that event against you, and that is exactly what you don't want to happen. You want to go for this one-sided event, as I mentioned before. So let's go for the creatures. Let's go through the creatures they give you at the beginning, and let's review that. First of all, they give you the Skeleton Spearman. I'm not a fan of that specific creature. Why? It is 1 damage creature. 1 damage for 1 cost, not so great. 2 HP, super weak. Why go for that guy when you can get the ghouls, which is quite nice. At least they gave you 2 ghouls. Normally most of these silver decks out there, they run 3 or 4 of these wretched ghouls, really to get the tempo going and get the damage started as soon as possible. Moving on, they give you the Rogue Mercenaries, okay card by itself, but you must pay 1. Why is it okay? It has 4 HP, which is not so bad, right? And 2 damage, quite standard there. But the 4 HP is not so bad. However, the downside is that you have to pay when you attack, which is okay. It's not that good of a card it used to be, but it's a decent card nevertheless. But I would definitely recommend the Nilfgaard Lich there. So try to get 4 of these as soon as possible. They have magic, so they're pretty good against the Incorporals and like other kind of creatures out there, and shooters. So for the 2, I mean, you just get value out of these cards. It's 204, you get good value, definitely worth it, and it's in the reinforcement packs, so definitely try to go for these as soon as possible, just like I mentioned before. Moving on, the Lingering Ghost, okay. Why? Because you have the Incorporeal keyword. The Incorporate keyword is quite good. Every damage dealt to this creature that is non-magic source is going to be off down, run down. It seems not that great, but it is quite good actually. The only downside to this creature is that it has 2 HP and 3 if you play Flashbane. Let's not go into details, but 2 HP there, and it's quite weak to spells and AoE removal. But it is a good card by itself, and 2 damage is decent at the beginning. Moving on, there's the Plague Skeleton that has Infect, but still does 1 damage once again for the same cost as an Ilford Lich. So, yeah, okay, you can kill a creature that has 2 HP, right? With those 2 here. However, that's it. But this guy, you can still do 2 damage to heroes, so I still believe that the Lich is a bit stronger, except if you utilize those Infect, just like with the 5 Towers expansion, you can utilize those Infect with the Plague Bearer. But except in specific decks, let's not go into details, I feel like the Lich is better when you start. Moving on, they gave you a super good 2-drop. Why? Because it has crippling 1 all the time, and it has retaliation 1, 2 HP, I mean 2 damage, sorry, 3 HP there, which is quite decent by itself there. Good stats overall, and crippling. So what's going to happen is that when this creature deals attack damage to a creature, it actually gets 1 crippling counter, which means -1 attack and retaliation per counter. In the actual battleground, what's going to happen is that your opponent's not going to try to block this. Why? Because it doesn't want its creature to have reduced retaliation and damage, so you're gonna be able to get extra damage for the beginning of the game. Normally, you can get up to 4, maybe 6 damage straight to the hero with this creature because they're quite scared of that damage there. Moving on, you have the Eggman 3, which is okay by itself. Regenerate 1 is quite decent. This isn't be that good, but the tactic with the Eggman 3 is that you're gonna get some damage and you can keep moving it around, let it, let's say, go to the bottom row, let it heal, move it back, and try to utilize that inventory to the fullest potential. It is good in some kind of Stalls decks, not too great in Syria as she has water, and water is more like a mid-range kind of spell school stuff. Lamazu being quite a good blocker, it's a flyer so you can place it anywhere, which is awesome here. And 2 retaliation, 2 damage, 6 HP, it's just value. Good value for the cost, definitely a great blocker there. Moving on, the Vampire Knight has Life Drain and immune to retaliation. That card is super good, it is so hard to kill. It is really good, but I know there's a new card in Forgotten in 5 Towers, which is quite decent as a 3-drop. We're going to take a look at that quite soon enough. But yeah, the Life Drain 2 makes it really super hard to kill, and immune to retaliation. So you put, I mean, normally most of the Necropolis decks out there run 2, maybe 3, maybe even 4 of them. They're really that good, trust me. Try them, you won't regret it. Moving on, Plague Zombie, quite a good blocker. Infect 1, it's not so bad. I mean, I've said it was bad with the 2 resource guy, but this is pretty good because you have 5 HP. Once you get over 5 HP, just like the Vampire here, you survive to most of these special removal there, AoE removal. So definitely a great card by itself. I would definitely recommend that guy. And Infect is quite decent by itself, right? So try him out, you're gonna like it. Skeleton Archer, 2 damage, just like the Lich, but you get 5 HP, so you survive to most of the AoE, and 2 retaliation. I don't feel like that's super good for the only reason that you have all those 3 drops that are melee oriented, so you can put your shooter and then let them actually survive through that, so yeah. Moving on, you have the Entem Wrath. Entem Wrath is definitely good because of the incorporeal keyword. As I said before, this guy is a superb blocker. 2 retaliation, which is quite a good number, and with the incorporeal keyword, he almost never dies. Really good if you want to go for the late game there. Moving on. You got this Fate Spinner. Fate Spinner is okay. It's 6 HP, so then survive. It's 2 damage. Not so great against heroes, right? But you get Infect 2. Infect 2 kills most of the creature out there. That makes like it 4 damage potential per attack there. So not so bad. It's okay. It's alright. But there's better options, and we're gonna get through those. You have Vengeful Spectre. You have Moon Silk Spinner. Both of these are okay. It's just a bigger Vengeful Rat there. It's alright. I mean, you get one more HP, one less retaliation for the cost. Not a lot of people play this. Normally people go for Untamed Rats, they have more value for the cost. Moonstone Spinner is okay as well. Clipping, as I said, is okay because your opponent's not gonna actually try to block it that much. So overall, a good card. I like it. However, there's always more options for cost. I'm gonna get 3 of those. Soul Consuming Lich, definitely a superbly good card. Why? That ability. Each time a creature dies, heal 2 damage from Soul Consuming Lich. That is insane. Because in this game, there is Insect Swarm, there's so much of these AoE spells, right? And they're only going to have 4 of these creatures on each battleground. And what's going to happen is that they're going to all die. But that creature heals up all the time creature dies. So she's going to be able to survive. And she has 7 HP, which is a super blocker. Normally in actual battleground, when somebody drop that, you're like, oh, I gotta deal with this. Why? Such a good blocker, keeps healing up, so hard to kill. Moving on, this is the fatty creature they gave you guys. It's okay, you know, 3 damage is decent, 3 retaliation, quite interesting. 8 HP, 8 HP. Yeah, that's insane. So it's okay. You need the 5 might, so the more you go, as I said, in might, the less you can draw. The less you draw, less snowball strong. So that's okay. Let's see what we can get and what we should focus on. So definitely go for the ritual goals. As you've seen, you're gonna play them. They're super good. 2/1/2 for 1 dot, awesome. You don't need the Dark Assassins. I know it's epic. I know it looks cool. It does a lot of damage. It's weak. It's only good in rush decks. It could be used in Syria because she's going more mid-range here. Moon thinks this could be something. That card is in Forgotten Wars expansion. That card is in a reinforcement pack there. So that's why normally I try to aim for that because it's just that great. Try to get 3, maybe 2 of those. Awesome. You already got 2, I believe, so that's pretty badass. Try to get 4 of these. 2/0/4 as I said, and shooter magic. Awesome. Good stats. I'm not a fan of that because it dies to too much stuff quite easily. And trust me, your opponent's gonna have removal. Each deck has so many removal that yeah, you wanna go for the 4 HP one. Moving on, might be a possibility to get those Power of Death Seekers. Why? Because Necropolis can resurrect their own creature. Yeah, it's a thing. So you can get more value out of that superbly good card there. Moving on, 3 cost, as I said, Vampire Knights are super good. These guys, super good blockers as well. It depends on the one kind of style you want to go for. And then 4 drops, you got Archlich. So why do I take a break here? It's because that card is beating all the other 4 drops in any other faction. Why? It has 1 retention, quite nice. 3 damage, quite good, okay. Life drain 2. It never dies. It never dies. It's so hard to deal with that your opponent's gonna have to put that extra removal, that extra card to get that Archlich. So definitely a superb card there in 6 HP. Once it's above 5 HP, it's quite good overall. So awesome. And Decay Spitter. That card is amazing. It's just so good. That card is a 2-for-1, so try to get those as soon as possible. Definitely a great card to go for. After the reinforcement pack, try to aim for those Decay Spatters as soon as possible, as I said. When it comes down battlefield, okay, it's a 2/0/5 for 4. You're like, oh, okay, that's alright. 2 poison counters. You can kill, finish up any kind of creature you want. Infect 1, just value. This creature is awesome. Most of the Necropolis run 4 of these. Why? Because you get 2-for-1 almost all the time. It's superbly good. Try them out, you won't regret it. Moving on, a staples card you should have in any kind of Necropolis deck is the Ultrapulse. Why? This card is almost a 3-for-1. It's like Archlich with 1 more retaliation, 1 more cost. Okay, for sure, 1 more requirement as well. 7 HP, life drain 2, amazing. But the ability is just so amazing. When a Ultrapulse play for the dead and enters the battleground, take 2 target creature card from your graveyard and put them in your hand. So you know I talk about powers, Death Seekers, right? You recycle them, do more damage. You can recycle benches, you can recycle other cards. It's amazing. Superbly good card. Try them out. You won't regret it. I think it's the card you should go for at the beginning. And you'll be able to unlock it as well super fast since you're going to spend that gold for the investment packs. Get a Tropos. Try it once. You you won't go back. It's just the best unique out there for Necropolis right now. There's also that unique that came out in Forgotten Wars. damage detected. Decent card, it has decent stats. 337 is pretty good. Infect 2 seems not so great, but it's actually really nice. And the ability that adds 1 infect when a creature, when he enters battlefield attack, definitely good. It's gonna help you snowball and finish up your opponent. I know it costs 6, but 5 might requirement, just like a Tropos. So if you have a chance to get into that guy, why not? Why not use him, right? So that is it for the staples creatures. I think let's go through the Altar of Wishes real quick. Alright, sorry, I did a little slow down there. I didn't have unlock yet the whole expansion, the new expansion that came out. However, I believe there's a pretty good Necropolis creature. Here it go. 3 cost, melee creature, 236. That is a pretty nice blocker system as a Kappa, Sanctuary, and melee creature, so you can utilize that melee capability without any problem. And also this guy, we're not sure how much it's going to be used there, the Scavenger Ratkin, 205, and it gets infect 1 for each 5 cards in your graveyard there. So, I mean, you have to go for the tower, 5 towers to be able to get more wild cards. But yeah, definitely try to get a Tropos as soon as possible. I think it doesn't cost that much as well, so try to get him only 8 wild cards, and it is such an amazing card. So I think the first thing you have to focus on is the Tropos, get those value cards, as I mentioned before in creature, and then move on to get more wild cards and try to tune your deck. A great way to see what's good in the meta right now is you go to mm.king.com and you look at the decks out there from Necropolis, and you'll be able to see some awesome stuff. It's all new decks, so it's all new meta, so feel free to take a look and check it out. It's an amazing website. I'm going to give it a link right now. And yeah, so if you want to look for good decks, how to build decks, just take a look at a few decks and it's going to help you out for sure. Moving on to spells. I really like Styria. Why? Because she has Water and Darkness. Superbly good spells there. You start with Ice Shell, definitely a great card. This is to be, but the ancient creature will get anchored. Anchored is awesome because it doesn't bounce back in your hand. Definitely a good spell there. You start with Soul Reaver, superbly good spell. Normally, when you run Styria, you want to get the card advantage, when you get that big creature you put in drops. That is Soul Reaver. Soul Reaver is amazing. You want to get 3 of this, or maybe 4 as soon as possible, and it's basic as well. So try to use the ward cost to get those Soul Reavers and get the Shadow Midges. I'm going to get to that soon. And also Geysers. So yeah, as again, reinforcement packs give you Geysers. Geysers are amazing. 3 damage to target creature and knowledge as in creature. It is such a good removal. It's being used all around. When you have water, you normally go for these. It's amazing. Try them out, you won't regret it. Normally these Styria decks run 3 or 4. It's pretty good. Also, Ice Spikes is okay. It's the 3/3, just like Geysers, but it deals 2 damage to all creature in target line, so your opponent's not going to see it coming. Unlike Geysers, that is. They give you Agony, not a fan with that. It's pretty easy to move around that. I mean, to deal with this bad stuff. I think Weakness is better, and the Mulsink Feathers is better as well. Put a Crippling Cutter on 2 target creatures. That means that you need at least 2 creatures on the battleground, or else it's not going to work. It's okay. I've seen better, really. And Dead Seals. Dead Seals okay, but what you gotta understand when you play Dead Seals is that you're gonna have to damage it in combat. So that means that you're gonna have to use the creature, and instead of doing damage to either the back row or let's say damage to the hero, you'll have to kill the creature with it. So it's okay, but Soul Reaver is just that better. So let's see what we can get here. There's Wither, which is a new common from the new expansion there. Definitely worth it. It's superbly... I mean, it's just an upgrade over Weakness, right? Also, Weakness is pretty easy to learn, to get at the beginning. So I'm going to show you guys what it is. Ancient Creature, -2/-2, just disables most of the creatures out there. And it's pretty good. It's just similar to this, but it's just single target. I would say that people play more of that Weakness than they play Moonstoke Feathers, that is. So guys, this is a super good card. You can actually get these cards pretty easily as well. Icy Weapon. It's not being played that much, but it is quite a surprise card, and having a surprise card in your deck actually helps out a lot. They won't see coming, and that's what matters. Also, too bad I only have 1 of these, but Shadow Images is always a 2-for-1, or almost. It is so good, and you can even copy those uniques your opponent's gonna drop. So it drops a big badass uniques. You just Shadow Image. You can Shadow Image 2, 3 times, 4 times, and have all those uniques in your board. And of course, it has, like, it dies when it takes a damage, right? But It's so great. Try it, you won't regret it. It's awesome. So and also you got Silent Death. It's okay, but it's not as great as Soul Reaver. Why? Because it takes 2 turns to get value. Yeah, so basically at the beginning of your turn, destroy each other creature and return Silent Death to your hand. So you gotta do it, and then he's gonna damage you with it, right? So you're still gonna take damage, even with Soul Reaver. You won't. Gonna take the damage, and then he's gonna die, and then when it dies, you take it back, then you play it again. It takes 2 turns to get value out of this. It's good against those big creatures decks, but that's it. Or else, it's not that great. And you'll see if you play that, lots of these decks run some of kind of dispels, so it's not that efficient. That card is amazing. That is, I believe, Herald of the Void. Same thing with Sundead. If you have a chance, Herald of the Void is amazing for Necropolis. So I think Herald of the Void and that special reinforcement packs should be your focus. Try to unlock these two. And eventually, if we're gonna worse, because you get Damn Ran, but it's not that great, try to go for Herald of the Void and Void Rising at the beginning with Necropolis and reinforcement packs, and then move towards 5 towers for 4 more wild cards and try to get the rest you need to complete your deck, because it's all about completing your deck and then doing more Swisses, more jackpots to get more currency, and then changing your deck, trying new factions and stuff. So anyhow, let's get back to that card. That card is amazing. It just so is. Now you want to get Strength of the Sea in any kind of water deck. Why? 1 damage. Okay, 1 damage from all creatures. That's fine. It's pretty good, right? Fortune Ward. It counters most of the Fortune Ward decks. If you put it down, normally they can't do much, and 1 damage is just so much. It doesn't mean a lot, but it's great. It's great. Try it out. So yeah, and of course you get all these 6 crazy spells. But I wouldn't go too far into that. What I recommend when you play Syria is either go for 5 might. I think 5 might and 4 magic, and getting those weak attacks is gonna help you out. It's gonna get you started real fast. I feel like that is the best option. And if you want more options and more viable decks in the later end game, try mmdocking.com. It's gonna be great. Trust me. Moving on, you get a few fortunes. I'm not such a fan of what they gave you. Why? Because they actually give you some 3-cost fortunes requirement. Okay, let's get started. This is pretty good. You want to slow down your opponent when he goes, when he starts stalling. That's okay. What you gotta think when you use that card, though, is that it takes a card from your hand and puts it face down on the top of your library. So that means you're gonna have less options. Why? Next turn you're gonna get back that card you had before. So it's a 2-card destroy a guy that is 2 or less. It's okay. It's viable in control decks, but it's not superb. It's alright. Dragon Vein, you use it once, you get the magic. Congratulations, you got it. Next, it's not that great, but don't play it. Graveyard, I'm not a fan of that. It's maybe if your opponent has more creature on the background, then you can... Nah, it's not gonna work all the time. And what you wanna do is snowball anyway. You don't wanna get back in the game in Necropolis. You wanna kill the creatures, snowball, finish them up, Shadow Image, Soul Reaver, and all this stuff. So, Arena Lair, you get that 2 Destiny for free. You don't have to level up Destiny. Get it. It's amazing. It's super good. It's the card you want to run with powers, with Atropos, because you discard a creature card, and then target creature from your graveyard and put it back in your hand. It can even be your Atropos. You can recycle Atropos, get it back in your hand, and play it again, and normally you're always going to have one of these small, low creatures you don't really want to play, and when you get Arena Lair, you're just going to be happy, and it works all the time. And normally you're in a deck you have 30 to 35 creatures, so let's say you get this top deck, you can draw 1 more, and you're normally going to get a creature to be able to use Arena Lair. It is the best recycling. It's awesome. I don't like this. I don't think it's that good eel. I'm not a fan of eel. Broken Bridge is good. May not be good, that good in Syria. It's okay in Syria if you drop that ongoing spell, right? Strength of the Sea, because it gives you Fortune Wards, so you can do a combo with Broken Bridge. How can you combo that? Your creatures get Fortune Ward. This is a Fortune instant. So let's say you have 2 creatures in a row, because it's all about rows, right? And then your opponent has 2 creatures as well. You use that, well, it's going to return them into this end. Your creatures are going to be fine. They have Fortune Ward, so nothing is going to... No fortune is going to do anything to them. So it works, but it only works with Strength of the Sea. So it could be okay, not a fan. You need maybe more for those Broken Bridge to make it worthwhile, and like have a deck focused on that where you get to 4, maybe 5, 4, 3. It could work out, you know, but it's not that great. Same thing with Campfire. As I said, the more you level up, the more you try to go for something else, the less snowball you're gonna get, because the less cards you're gonna be able to grab there. And let's see now. Of course, you have all these amazing fortunes, but as I said, I'm just trying to give you a deck that works and is pretty good at the beginning. And if you want some more of these endgame decks, feel free to go to mmdocking.com and take a look, guys, and free to learn and ask us questions and Twitch whatsoever. So yeah, guys, that's it for my Necropolis tutorial. I hope you liked it, and good luck, have fun, guys. Cheers.